There's something to be said, and it's admirable. The fact that they made it this interesting. I did not believe that this team was capable of pushing a team like Oklahoma City, who is historically good, make no mistake, the largest point differential in the history of basketball. So not Shaq and Kobe, not Larry or any of those Showtime teams. No one beat their opponents worse than Oklahoma City did this year to their opponents.
And yet we were sitting there faced with a Game 7.
Yeah.
Had a chance to beat the Thunder.
And it's one of these actual questions that you could argue very fairly on both sides of it. Much like, we used to do this with John Elway. If you wanted to make an argument why John Elway was a great general manager, you could do it. You point to a Super Bowl and another Super Bowl appearance, but if you wanted to make an argument why he was a terrible general manager, you had a lot of substance there to argue that as well, and how the Broncos found themselves in the worst stretch of their NFL history. This is very similar to me in that if you want to make an argument that the Nuggets are close, you can. But if you want to make an argument to why they're not, you can as well, with plenty of ammunition on both sides.
I don't know. See, this is where I have to have a little pushback when it comes to, are we close? 2 years in a row where you end up exiting in a Game 7 where you need someone like Jamal Murray and MPJ to step up and they don't step up. To me, it's we're further away because of that. It's you have these dudes that you're paying a lot of money for, but when the lights shine the brightest, they don't show up. And if you go through that again, and it happens again, it's it's a reoccurring thing. It's just
sure.
on the same track over and over and over.
Here's what I mean when I say you could argue that they're close. The Nuggets starters, Jokić, Jamal, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, they outscored Oklahoma City when they were all on the floor. The starting five for Denver was plus 34 in 142 minutes against Oklahoma City. Now, any other combination of lineups, they were outscored by 98 points. So when you get through a 7-game series against a historically fantastic opponent who's favored to win the title, so you have a title favorite who's historically good, and your starters are a plus 34 after 7 full games, you can make the argument, well, damn, we're just 1 or 2 Bruce Brown pieces away.
So what argument would you make? If it was you, wZach Bye, what argument are you going with?
Phil, no joke, man, and I'm being sincere right now, because people in this business will tell you, boy, dig your heels in, pick a side, and argue to the death. I have been going back and forth on this question all day in my own internal conversation of tug of war, because that's irrefutable. I just passed along a fact that the starters were plus 34. Yeah. We've been talking about the bench not being good enough for 7 months. We've been talking about there not being enough shooting on this roster for 7 months, and it shows up and costs you the series. But it's at the same time, it's I don't just want to bypass the fact that the starters actually beat Oklahoma City when they were all together, which seems impossible, but it's true. And it's not like they were plus 3 points or 6 points. You're plus 34 points in 142 minutes. So I don't want to be dismissive of that, but at the same time, it's wait a second. You can't trick yourself. When you lose in the second round for 2 years in a row, you're not that close for a championship. You need to win 4 more in the next round against an opponent who already beat you, and then play 4 more against a team that's coming out of the East. That's why I say if you want to argue in both directions, you actually can. You're putting me on the spot.
I have to put you on the spot.
And rightfully so. I'd say that this team is close. But I don't believe that they're going to be able to do what they need to do to put them over the top while keeping the group that's plus together. So it's you have a really hard decision to make. You can't just, here's what's not going to happen. You're not just going to be able to add on to the roster in a meaningful way without breaking up a member of that core that was plus 34. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place a little bit if you're Denver.
Well, and that's why I'm on the other side of this when it's is this team close? Obviously, they're not that close because they're out of the second year in a row where they're out in the second round of the series, the second round of the playoffs. And you're getting the same kind of results from a couple players that you need to step up. And that's Jamal and MPJ, Zach. And then for sure, like AG has done a great job. But what does that look like as he gets older for the next year? Because, next year is going to take on a mind, or it's a different entity, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take on its own kind of
life.
And so that's why I'm like, are we close? Are we getting further and further with this crew?
Yeah.
Because you're only going to get older. And it's not like this crew is going to continue to get better. They are who they are. They can probably shoot a little bit better, but it's not like, all of a sudden Jamal Murray's going to go back this offseason, work on his game, and be able to get that separation because he's getting older. And that's why I'm sitting here today saying I don't know how close we really are of winning a championship with this crew. So we're going to have to make some major changes, like if we're going to get to where we want to go.
So I agree. You're going to have to fracture this one of the starters, at least one. And the idea would be getting back multiple players in return. But the problem is, it's like, sometimes we live in this world of like fantasy basketball that like there's going to be a bunch of teams clamoring to take on,
takes two to tangle.
Michael Porter Jr.'s contract.
Yeah, they have to agree to want to do a deal.
Like do you think the line is going to be out the door for Jamal Murray, whose extension doesn't kick in until this coming year? So like just because it works on the trade machine, like online, doesn't mean that, you actually have another NBA executive that's like, you want to know what? Yeah, we'll onboard him. I will take Jamal Murray's $209 million contract and his 0 All-Stars, and for 2 straight postseasons falling below expectation. You can only ride that championship high for so long. We're now years removed from it, and it's such an imperfect situation, man. Because Phil, they don't have incredible resources. They have one pick to work with, 1 first-round pick, and that's not until 2031.
Yeah, they're in a bad place right now, the Denver Nuggets, when it comes to having draft picks or even being able to trade somebody because of money, because of Jamal Murray, MPJ, and what they have not done. Another general manager is not going to just say, I like MPJ or I like Jamal Murray because of what they brought a couple years ago. It's like, what have you done for me lately? What do you look like right now, and what does the money look like?
And in addition to that, which is true, of course, it's what do you look like in this situation removed from Nikola Jokić? We don't know. No one knows. The NBA doesn't know. But I tell you what they do know. They know how it looked with Bruce Brown when he was here than when he was there. They know how it looked when KCP was here and then now he's there.
Yeah.
So it's like, you get a Jokić bump by playing in Denver, which you would think would attract, more players, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't, and it hasn't. So yeah, man, I like. It's actually a little bit discouraging when you look at the possibilities of what can be done, and we talk about someone like Bob Myers, right? The guy who built Golden State, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, is this even a desirable place for him to come? If you offered him the money, and you're like, you are going to be the steward of the second half of the Jokić era, there's incredible value in that. But it's like, oh yeah, you're a master GM, you have no picks. You have 1 to work with.
Yeah, like you're setting somebody up to fail right now.
You're going into the second apron. You're going to be one of the 3 or 4 most restricted teams in the NBA, because if they pay Christian, they're going to be in the second apron. So it's like, it's...
And you can't get rid of, right now, it's hard to get rid of MPJ or Jamal. So what do you do? What do you do if you're a general manager? Like, you get here, you talk to Kroenke and say, hey, like, you have to ride this out with me. We know it's going to be bumpy because we can't make changes because you don't have enough money or enough assets to go and get some depth, because that's what we're missing as well.
It's a sticky situation. It's a sticky situation. And it's one of these where first of all, it's a sticky situation at any point in NBA history because of the lack of resources. But now you're living in the new era of the first apron, second apron, money has to match, all this stuff. And it's like, it is going to be really, really challenging for the next general manager. And you're about to hire a coach, and it's going to be David Adelman.
Oh, you're already putting your hot take out there.
It's not a hot take. It's David Adelman. He's going to be announced by the end of the week. This is what they want. He gave them enough evidence. I don't even...
So hold up. So you're just going to skip, like, you do know we need a general manager.
See, this is where things get disjointed organizationally. when you hire the coach before a general
A
manager.
young coach at that. It's not like a proven coach that, hey, maybe it's like a situation over here with Sean Payton where he's played and he's won, coached and he's won Super Bowls and he's the one calling the shots.
This
You're
is the
talking
opposite.
about David Adelman, who he's only had 3 regular season games as a head coach.
Yeah, and 14 playoff games, which is not nothing, right? He's coaching 2 playoffs.
Yeah.
But you're talking about 17 games, a sample size of 17 games, and handing over the reins to the second half of the Jokić era before a general manager is hired. But I am fully anticipating that we are going to get an announcement here that Ben Tenzer is going to be named the general manager. It's going to be double internal. It's going to be very Colorado Rockies. It's going to be very Colorado Rockies, for better or worse. Kroenke Sports Entertainment historically has not valued, this is not an opinion, it is a fact, they have not valued paying coaches or executives. They'll pay the players. They will, and they deserve credit for that, by the way. I'm not here to take shots at KSC, but they don't value the executives. And so my guess is Ben Tenzer is going to get hired, who has never done the job before. David Adelman is going to get hired with 17 games coached. And these are going to be the stewards of the second half of the Nikola Jokić era.
But Zach, you don't think that Josh Kroenke wouldn't at least talk to Jokić to see if he would sign off on this or how he's feeling about it? Having not only the general manager being new, but the head coach being new as well. Yes, he went through the playoffs, and that is great experience. But you're talking about taking over a team with Jokić in his prime, and we need to win another championship. You don't think they're going to talk or Kroenke's going to talk? Josh Kroenke will talk to Jokić and just ask?
I think that he may ask. I don't know how much Jokić is going to weigh in. He was asked about it yesterday, and he didn't like these other guys are pining for David Adelman. He's he's not going there at all. And by the way, you have about 12 more hours to talk to him if he hasn't left for Serbia already. Will Peterson, DenverSports.com. This is it's a weird day to come in and do this job. All right. The Nuggets are in a bit of a sticky wicket organizationally. They lose Game 7, but they lose close. Or not close in a Game 7, but they're pushing a historically fantastic team to 7 games. And I asked Phil about 10 minutes ago, I'm like, do you think they're close or do you think they're far? Because I think you can actually argue either side of it.